everybody, and welcome to the Maurice Brown Show. We have a very special guest on our show today. Welcome to the show, a film and stage actor originally from New Orleans or Nolans, however you want to pronounce it. She is known for the roles of Becky Travis in the crime drama series Vindication, Tess on Fear the Walking Dead, plus short films Malignant, and Even If It Kills Me, where she was nominated as Best Actress. She's produced shorts and music videos, worked in casting for a variety of projects, and directed the short film Laurie's Poem. Ladies and gentlemen, with no further ado, please welcome to the show, Peggy Schott. What's up, Peggy?
Hello. It's so wonderful to be here and to get to meet with you and chat.
Peggy, it is great having you on the show. As you know, that this is probably my favorite crime drama of crime dramas.
And we appreciate that.
I mean that when I say favorite, because I can say NCIS and I could say Law and Order, I could say Blue Bloods, and I could say even Homicide going back into the day there. But I love Vindication because not only is it a great crime drama, it centers around the Word of God. It centers around Christ, which immediately trumps any other crime drama.
I agree. I agree.
It immediately trumps it. And so I just love watching the show because it just deals with real issues. Now, Jared O'Flaherty is the creator of Vindication.
Yeah.
And now you guys are into season 4.
Yes, we're halfway through filming season 4. And we'll get to do 4 more episodes after the first of the year. So I'm really excited about that.
And so we just got season 3 to drop on Redeem TV in September, I believe. Yeah. And so this is a compelling crime drama out there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you're not aware of Vindication and you love watching TV and film and you love to be entertained, but you're Christian, you got to watch Vindication. And you can find it on PureFlix. You can find it on Redeem TV. I believe you can find it on Amazon Prime.
It is, yes.
And I'm not sure about, give me some other platforms if I'm missing one. I think
actually it's on platforms throughout the whole world. It is in Australia and in South America and in Germany. It's been translated into different languages. And it's even shown in different Muslim countries throughout the world and has a good audience there. So
quite impressive, impressive. So Jared is now into season 4. Wonderful guy. I want to ask you a question about the way the show develops, because I mentioned all these other crime dramas from the secular world, which I have no problem with. I enjoy those programs. Obviously, I enjoy Vindication more because it's just the same, but we're focusing on Christ here. But I just love the way that Jared is willing to address tough subjects. And I think in the faith-based world, a lot of producers and directors are hesitant to approach those because probably not sure, how do I grapple with this? How do I handle this subject? But Jared goes right into it, and he never makes a mistake at remaining a gentleman.
Yes.
In how he approaches it. And so I want to ask you, Peggy, do you think that other filmmakers in the Christian world could look at Vindication as maybe a template as to how to go about presenting it to audiences?
Absolutely. I definitely think so. And in fact, I think that it actually has done that. We've been out for a few years, and historically, I think a lot of people would say that historically, most faith-based things were just really, I don't know, how do you say, squeaky clean. Not really wanting to delve into the really tough things that really happen in this world.
Yes.
And I think that, especially as people of faith, we can't ignore that. We have to show, the struggles that people have and the dangers that are out there, but to look at it from a Christian perspective. But also, presenting it in a television show where we deal with these really tough matters, but you never have to listen to vulgar language. You don't have to see nudity. You know that violence happens, but you don't have to watch it. And
Well,
it opens up doors. And I think especially, I have been with groups of people watching it, and just the topics of conversation and the things that it opens up for people to discuss is, I think, something great about the show. And I think people watching it with their older children, that not younger children, but older children, it opens up opportunities to have good conversations.
what was really interesting, and without giving too much away, season 3
Hmm.
really dealt with an issue, or some issues that gave you an opportunity to kind of act out, and as an actress to handle that, and I just think that season 3 took the Travis family to another level as far as dealing with real life issues.
Oh
And I was
yeah.
blown away. I was like, wow, this
Yeah.
is really strong here.
I remember when Jared first called me and he said, "Let's talk about this, about what's going to be happening with the Travis family and with Becky in season 3." And as an actress, it was such a gift, because as an actor, you like to really stretch yourself. And he gave me a wonderful opportunity. But also, I think it's important to know that there are people in real life who go through these same kinds of struggles. And it's my prayer that if anyone could see what my character went through, what our whole family went through, that hopefully it is helpful and encouraging to them to be able to watch that on screen, and know that they're not alone in what they're dealing with, and to see that it's possible. Even the strongest people in faith can still struggle. Just because you accept Christ does not mean that everything is always going to be easy. In fact, it definitely won't be easy. But the important thing is to be able to turn to Him, and to turn to the people who can help bring you back to Him.
I totally agree with that, Peggy. I totally agree with that. And I think that as I've watched the seasons, I think you've done a great job in every episode. But Peggy, I'm gonna tell you, I was the most impressed with your performance in season 2. And I want to say it was episode 4, and it was called Perspectives. And it dealt with race, the issue
Ah,
of race.
okay.
It, I I just loved that episode, and I thought you were particularly outstanding in this particular
You
episode.
have to refresh my memory. So is that when Becky meets Anthony?
This is when Becky meets Anthony, and you have to go, and it based. And I'm trying not to give away too much, but yes, because I'm gonna do it. So I'm gonna
Go
say
ahead. Go ahead.
yes.
We can.
That,
It's been out for a while. We can talk about it.
okay, well, so
Jared
that's
has told me it's okay. We can talk about
okay.
it.
Well, that's the episode where Gary's mom had convinced you to go to get Anthony out of there and take him into your home.
Yes.
And I thought the way that Jared opened that episode with the rebel flags, and
Oh yeah.
Gary Nation's character, who
Mm-hmm.
was just a classic racist, to the extent
Yep.
where he was numb to the fact. And I just thought it was so real, like this is real stuff.
And
And
then it also had a fantastic scene with TC and
yes,
Gary in the
absolutely.
car
Yes.
discussing race, and it just was, just two guys having a conversation.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was so good. Yeah.
That episode, and my wife will tell you, I probably watched it way too many times for her taste, but I just love that episode. And they're probably, Peggy, there are 3 out of the 3 seasons. Right now, I'm still, going through season 3. I haven't gotten a favorite yet, but I have 2 in season 1, and then 1 in season 2. They're just absolutely my favorite.
Yeah.
And again, Perspectives in season 2, episode 4. It was just tremendous. Peggy, you nailed it.
Thank
You
you.
just
Thank you.
nailed that episode.
And thinking about that episode, because I remember the scene where Becky's been trying, and she did it the same way in season 1 with encouraging Gary towards faith, but not
Yeah.
pushing him.
Right.
Trying to find the right time to say the right things. And as I've been married a long time, and I do this with my own husband. You're trying
Yes.
to find, and I know that there were some people who were saying, "Oh, she's keeping secrets from him," but it's not that she was keeping secrets. It's that she was trying to wait for the right opportunity. And there were a few
Right.
times she would bring up the subject of his mom or something alluding to it, and he would just shut it down. And
Yeah.
he's like, "No, it's not the right time, and try again later." And it's not the right time. And finally, it's like, forget it. I've just got to, just let it all out there. And told him, "That's it. I'm going to see your mom. I met her in prison, and I'm going to see her." And sometimes you just have to do that. And with him telling her, whatever she says, say no. And what did Becky do? She said yes.
Well, let me ask you a question, Peggy. Let me get into the mind of an actress for a moment
Hmm.
because I had the opportunity to do Love Different in 2016, directed by Anthony Hackett. And I
Okay.
had an intense scene that I did across from Jen Gotzon.
Ah.
And,
Hmm.
and there were tears involved and so forth. And it's the first film I was ever in. I was just blown away by just everything that was going on. But I want to go back to season 2, episode 4. Because the subject matter of perspectives was just timely. What was your mindset in preparing for this particular episode?
Oh wow. Well, that's been a while. But I'm not even sure about the mindset going in. Like I get the script and go through it, and then we do have a table read where we get to work on it. And also realize that all of my scenes, most of my scenes, pretty much everything, is in the Travis home.
Okay.
And so, although the storyline is going along where Gary's dealing with the crime or other things that are happening, Becky's typically not involved in it. Although what's happening in the home, the way the episodes are written, it mirrors, as you were saying. If there's dealing with the racism, with what's going on with TC and everyone else. So it mirrors back and forth. Um, so I don't know if there was a preparation that way. But I will say that the actors that I get to work with really help to get in character. We'll run a scene a couple of times before we get into it. Try
Mm-hmm.
not to do it too much. Of course, Todd is absolutely amazing to work with. But that scene with Daquan, when Becky first meets Anthony,
Yes. Yes.
we were filming in an old police station. It had been shut down. We
Okay.
were actually in the spot where they have the glass and the telephone that's there that you talk to the prisoner through the glass. And we actually could not hear each other on either side of the glass. There's also a scene with Doris that I had with Doris, and then later on a scene that Todd had or Gary had with his mother, Doris.
Yeah.
And we're in this place where we could not hear the person on the other side, but we knew what their lines were. But I will never forget sitting there when Daquan walked in. Becky's meeting Anthony, and he sat down there and he looked at me. And oh my goodness, there was no acting involved. My heart just melted meeting this young man.
Yeah.
He was just such a giving actor and just so in the moment. It was just a wonderful moment.
It was very powerful, Peggy. It
Yeah.
really was. I was thinking about Anthony. I had a chance to interview Daquan about a year and a half ago. And yes, the moment was very intense because when he looked at you, it was almost as if he were looking through you. But
Yeah.
your response was perfect. Caring, understanding, uh, welcoming. You
Yeah.
know, the two moments they just intersected perfectly,
Yeah. And
and
as an
just made for.
actor, what a gift to be able to work with someone who is, yeah, that you can just work off of. He was fantastic.
He was fantastic. And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks. We're talking with actress Peggy Schott from the hit faith-based crime drama Vindication. And now they've been through 3 seasons, and season 4 is in the works as we speak right now. But I want to play the trailer from season 3 so our fans out there that are not aware of Vindication can get a better idea of it. See this and go, all right, I'm ordering Pure Flix now.
What we're about to share with you, you cannot tell anyone. Not your best friend, not your priest, not your dog, not your wife. Nobody can know right now.
Yeah, I understand.
Single gunshot wound, close range. They recovered a 9mm hollow point round from the chest cavity.
Right now, all the evidence points to one place.
This is a manhunt. Suspect be considered armed and dangerous.
He isn't guilty of anything.
Something's going on.
Just wondering why they ain't came and got me yet.
Someone is out to get your husband. I don't know why. Maybe you do.
Who did you meet with today?
We don't have enough on Tomlinson. He's always one step out of reach.
What's the plan? It's in the valleys where we grow the most, not the mountaintops.
What do you do with that knowledge? What does it change?
Things will last forever. That's what matters most.
Beautiful, beautiful stuff. And, you know, I was talking with Jared O'Flaherty a while back, not too far in the past there, about a month ago. And we were talking about Todd Terry. I was talking to him about Todd Terry as Gary Travis. I called him and I was watching season 3, one of the episodes, and I forget which episode it was. But Todd, as Gary Travis was just sitting in his study contemplating everything. It might have been episode 7 or something like that. And
I think I know exactly that scene you're talking about.
and I called. Actually, I told my wife what I thought of it. And she said, "You should call Jared and tell her right now." And I picked the phone up, called Jared. I said, "Jared, Todd Terry is Gary Travis's Superman." I said he's Superman. I mean, it was such a powerful scene. You know, Todd is such a tremendous actor, and playing opposite Todd as his wife, as Becky Travis. I just wanted to ask, because you guys do a great job of playing a couple. What is your experience in playing opposite Todd Terry as Becky Travis?
I agree. Todd Terry is Superman.
Yes.
Oh, it's truly such a blessing to be able to work with him. He is a wonderful actor with so much experience, and he's working so often, which is wonderful to see. But also, he also has a job. He works in real estate on the side. So I'll be on set with him. He's in almost every scene. So he has so many lines, and and I get there and I've got just a couple little things, and but he just pulls through every time with excellent performances and pulling himself together. And then I have to admit, there are times on set when we'll have a little bit of downtime, and if we have downtime, Todd is off on his phone working real estate deals, and I take a nap. So, actually, there was one time he took a nap. We got a picture of him. we were in the funeral home, and he fell asleep, which was kind of strange to see him laid out on it was a sofa, but he was fast asleep taking a nap there. But usually I'm the one who's sneaking off into the makeup room to rest in between scenes. But he is constantly going, and wonderful to work with. And I appreciate the fact, this being a faith-based show, that we play husband and wife. Mm-hmm. And I think that we bring our own marriages into it, or our own relationships into it. But in season 2, there's one little spot where Jared is not afraid to let the husband and wife act like husband and wife. There's so many faith-based things where you don't get that opportunity. And there's just one spot where there's almost a kiss, because they're a husband and wife. This is what happens. But as being actor and actress, that is not something that we want to do. We're Christians, and we respect our own marriages. But we were going to play it a little bit on there, and we were doing a take on that. And Daquan is supposed to walk in and interrupt so that the kiss doesn't happen. And one of the takes, he forgot to come in. And we're like, Daquan, where are you?
Yeah.
No, it's not really going to happen.
I think I remember that episode. It was season 2, and he was about to go hunting.
Yes,
Yeah.
about to go hunting.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Flirting with him is, you hope that's what you're going to have in your marriage is, flirting and getting along. And I think that a lot of faith-based things are afraid to show that. But that's encouraging to show what a strong marriage is, that husband and wives do act like this. And it's okay to show it without, as we don't show violence, we also don't show, sexual things, because that's not appropriate to show on a television show, we feel.
Well, I think the beautiful thing about that, as you talk about it, is Hollywood shows the obvious things. Like, I mean, did we really need to see all of that? I mean,
but I don't need to see that.
I mean, we get it. Can we just stick to what's really happening? So the fact that Jared is doing this as a gentleman, it's like you feel the love that this Travis couple has for one another. You know what I mean? It's so clear and obvious that you guys are in love with each other.
Yeah.
Respect each other, and it's just crazy, really, about each other.
And also bicker, there's always a little,
but
tensions going on.
which is normal.
Which is normal, yes.
The love is so clear and present. Like, these people are committed to each other. They love each other. This is great. This is what a relationship is supposed to be. And Jared never crosses any lines of inappropriateness to convey that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and also, I will say that in that episode, one of the main reason why he wanted to have that as part of the episode is because he was trying to show Anthony what a marriage would look like, because Anthony came from a broken home.
Yes.
And later on, there's a time when Anthony tells Gary, one day I want to have a relationship like you and Miss Becky have.
Yes.
Yeah. So, that's trying to establish what is a good, strong, healthy relationship to show to him. And that's why he was doing that.
One of the other members of your cast that I find quite intriguing is Steve Moquet.
Yes.
And we see the progression of Steve Moquet's depth in this series, in his ability to morph into this bad guy character, as similar to Dr. Doom. I mean, it's like this guy can't be stopped, and he's so wicked. What is it like working with Steve Moquet?
Well, as I said before, I don't really get to do much of the stuff with the crime. So Steve and I have only been on set a few times together. Okay. But he's such a fun person to work with.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the first time we met in person on set was when they had the fight in the when they were both trying to take the place of the outgoing police.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
And there was the fight. And so, there was this big brawl of a thing going on, but it was just great behind the scenes to be able to talk with him and work with him. But I think one of my favorites is there is a Facebook group called VINDICATION, which is a whole bunch of Vindication fans, and they get there and they comment and talk about different things. And to see the comments that go on about Steve's character, I find very amusing. But I think the funniest part of it all is that his wife will chime in, his real wife. Yes. And people will be saying, that character, I don't, I don't like that character. She writes in there, she goes, I don't either.
Yes.
Yeah. So
I think, and by the way, ladies and gentlemen, Steve Moquet plays the role of Sergeant Bill Tomlinson, who ends up becoming police chief. And it's you just got to watch this series from the beginning, guys. I'm telling you, once you get started, one thing I love about Vindication is if you are a secular viewer and you start watching this, however it may come about that you end up watching an episode, you're going to be enthralled to the point where, is this a Christian film? Somebody said this was a faith-based film. And all of a sudden you're hooked. By the time it's very clear that it's a Christian episode, you don't care anymore.
Yeah. Because
the storyline is so well done. And I see bigger and better things. I mean, much bigger things coming to Vindication. Jared does, and the thing about Jared that's so wonderful is he's modest.
Yeah.
He's a very modest guy, and he's
And
not
he does
looking.
so much. His creativity is fantastic. He's just writing, the directing, and producing. But I want to go back to what you were just talking about not realizing it's a Christian show.
Yeah.
There actually was somebody who commented on that on Amazon a while ago.
Okay.
Who said, I just watched the entire season and nobody told me this was a Christian show.
That's funny.
But they watched the entire season.
Yes.
But being an actor, and whenever I see breakdowns and things for auditions, there's so much trying to be inclusive, and including people of all different races, all different, life choices, I'll just say.
Yes.
But if you look at mainstream television, they have so many things that they include, but you rarely see Christians who appear in television and in film.
Yeah.
Just real, living their everyday life. And I think that that's what Vindication is. It's not so much that it is a Christian show. It is a show that has Christians in it who live lives as Christians. And not everyone in it is. Not all the characters are, but you can count on the fact that the characters who are there are living a Christian life. And you rarely see that, I find, in other things on television and film.
Well, I mean, as you mentioned that, you just think of Bill Tomlinson. And I think that, that there are people out there that, the fact that you're able to get Steve Mocate in this character as Tomlinson, and I mean, he's a bad dude. He's just a wicked guy. But again, in showing this within the show, no lines of inappropriateness are crossed.
Exactly.
Jared does such a wonderful job of walking that tightrope.
Yeah.
And
look at Cameron Arnett's character. Oh my goodness.
that's another great example. I mean, Cameron Arnett's character, what he's struggling with sexual addictions.
Yes.
And the way
he's a Christian. The character is a Christian, but he's struggling with Well,
I think the reality is, to me, Peggy, a lot of Christendom is unwilling to be honest about their struggles.
Right.
And I think we need more programming that's willing to address it and deal with it. Again, you don't have to be crude and cross lines of inappropriateness to show us what's really going. We are well able enough, Peggy, as adults to fill in the blanks here. We get it.
Yes.
Just stick to the point here, and let's talk about the issues so those that are struggling with those similar issues can actually get some help, have someone to identify with, something to identify with that, hey, I'm not alone in this and there's a way out. That's I believe God wants us to do in this business. And that's, I think, head and shoulders, Jared O'Flaherty is above the crowd. There's some other good ones. I mean, I don't want to say he's the only one, but Jared does as good a job as you'll see at doing that. And so as I say all of that, I was talking about Anthony Hackett, who directed Love Different in 2016, where I had an opportunity to be a part of that. By the way, Anthony Hackett also has directed a film called The Perfect Christmas, which was released on December 8th nationwide. I want to say that or throw out to you, because Anthony feels like there should be a place for the light and fluffy.
Oh yeah, there needs to be a place for it. I agree. Yeah.
Right, and then there should be a place for the tough and gritty. And I think we as in the Christian world of entertainment, we've got no problem filling that light and fluffy space. We dwell in that space, but I mean, there should be a distinct area too where you start to deal with hard subject matter. And again, there's a way.
I'll mention one right now, Nefarious. Have you seen that?
I have not.
Oh yeah,
is that with Cameron Arnett?
He has a small role in it. Yeah.
Okay.
He is in it, but wow, that is powerful. But yeah, it's an intense one. It's definitely nowhere near light and fluffy, but I think it's an important story.
Well, it is important. And as you say that, I was just going to ask your thoughts on just what we're discussing regarding faith-based filmmakers willing to tackle these a lot more often than what we currently see.
Yeah, I think there definitely are more. In fact, I remember when Cameron Arnett first came on to Vindication, and he was making a comment in one of our, we had a Zoom table read, and I'm pretty sure it was Cameron, and he was talking about the fact that we need to have more cutting edge things, and he thought that Vindication was really helping to lead the way. And he, through his production company and other projects that he's been on, I see that he is definitely doing that. Eleanor's Bench, I think is a very good one that's dealing with some heavier subjects, and I haven't seen The Shift yet, but I'm assuming that probably is pushing the envelope there also.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, I think that there's more and more realizing that people want, as we said, light and fluffy is good, but we need some more dramatic and more real tough issues to deal with, but give it to us without all the things we really don't need to see.
And I think that's really what the secular audiences are waiting for, because they don't take Christian programming seriously. If they do dare take a look, they'll cut it off within a couple of minutes because of the light and fluffy aspect. They're looking for something that they can really resonate with, and understand. Okay, now what can I do maybe to get some help with this, or I just want to watch it because I'm aware these kinds of things happen. Let's see what the Christians do. One of the most cutting episodes of the series was The Facade in season 2. And it dealt with, because Jared was not afraid to go into a very real issue in our society, Peggy, surrounding inappropriate photographing of minors, and also potential inappropriate encounters in a relationship, which concerned Anthony and his girlfriend in the Travis home.
Yes.
What was it like putting this episode together?
From my perspective and the scenes that I got to do, I actually had fun with it, because as Becky goes in and Anthony's asking, can he have a friend over? And she's like, sure, you can have a friend over. You live here. And and I said, what's his name? And he goes, oh, it's not a him, it's a her. Becky's like, oh, wait, that's a whole different story. But realizing how lucky I am that I raised my children before social media, before the internet, and how much more difficult it is for parents now to be watching and what their children are seeing, because there is so much information out there that is negative. There are things we don't want our children to see, that they can so easily get to and so easily be tricked. The photographer was seemed like he was trying to help them out and being a good guy, but how do you protect your children? And it's tough. And so the fact that we brought it up, or that it was brought up in an episode of Vindication, hopefully that opens some doors for parents to talk to their children and say, look, this is something that really is happening in the world, and to help protect the children. Open doors for conversation.
I remember Jared telling me about episode 2 in season 1, which involved, I think his son Austin was in this particular episode, and it dealt with
Todd's son. Yeah.
Todd's son, I mean to say, was in this particular episode, and it dealt with teenage sexting. Yes. And there was a scene there that was caused this particular episode not to be considered for an award at a Christian award show. It wasn't going to be nominated because of this particular scene, which I didn't see anything wrong with the scene. Nothing was shown, but it was dismissed because of it at a Christian award show. And I wanted to ask you, are there any other not episodes, just in general? I mean, has Vindication, to your knowledge, received any negative commentary for the way that the show's content is presented?
Definitely. Well, the one that I said, when somebody made the comment that, after they watched the entire season, they didn't realize nobody told them it was a Christian thing. But I find that to be a wonderful positive.
Yeah.
In season 3, there was a comment that someone made that I found interesting.
Okay.
Because my character is really struggling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll say she turns towards alcohol,
Yeah.
and she's depressed. And when someone is depressed, they're not thinking straight. And this person made a comment saying that Becky was possessed. And
Okay.
I found that interesting. But they said they didn't want to watch it anymore because of that.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I'm not watching anymore. Becky's got a demon. I'm like, well,
Oh my goodness.
there are demons in this world that affect us that Satan is trying so hard to pull us away from our faith.
Yes.
And I believe that, what Becky was going through was definitely Satan trying to pull her away from her faith. But thankfully, she was brought back. So that was one that I found interesting and curious.
I've always been, curious about that because we have, and I mentioned how reluctant the faith-based filmmaking community is in tackling hard subject matter.
Yeah.
And then you get the public, the Christian viewing public, and they want to stay in the light and fluffy world, like, everything's all hunky dory, and just everything's just so beautiful and cookie cutter, and that's not reality. I mean, we like that. I like it. I love those films, but it's just not where we live. Life is hard and it's tough, and we all have to deal with things that we don't want to deal with. Some we do well, some we don't do well. But it's life.
Right.
And so to say that Becky has a demon and I don't want to watch it anymore, I mean, it's just not reality. You're not facing reality.
Yeah, right. Right.
And so it's interesting. So that question that I pose, I find that now, okay, wow, it's scary to know, Peggy, that there are actually lots of people out there that actually think that way.
I have a few other comments. Some things I just don't. I'll read them and I'm like, I don't even understand what they're talking about.
Yes.
But
yes.
Well,
you're living in a fantasy world. And again, it's scary to think that there are a lot of people out there in our Christian faith that live in fantasy worlds.
Yeah.
Like, do you know what they went through in the book of Acts? What Paul and Silas and those guys, what they lived through? We have no idea the level of difficulty that is really called for to follow Christ. We have no idea, and wow. So it's amazing when you hear that kind of commentary. And I could go into a sermon on that. I won't, Peggy. I will move on to my next question.
It's not for us to judge, right?
No, yes, exactly. But I did want to ask you, I talked about you and Todd, and I think you and Todd really are the face of Vindication. I really do. And just a perfect couple, and in dealing with life struggles. You guys have dealt with a lot of tough stuff and remain particularly.
And Chris too, Chris Tanner.
Oh, absolutely.
Boy, she's had some tough times, but
oh my goodness,
Venus, I just love her so much.
Absolutely. Venus Monique, who plays Chris Tanner, and I've had a number of opportunities to interview Venus, and yes, her role very real. And as I mentioned, you and Todd as Gary and Becky Travis, such a wonderful role. How did you land the role of Becky Travis?
I was actually at a film festival in Fredericksburg, Texas, several years ago. There was a short film that I was in that was in the festival.
Okay.
And I had been nominated for an award for it, and so they asked me to speak on a panel with several actors, and actually the head of the Screen Actors Guild for the state of Texas was there, speaking on our panel, and there was also another short film that was at that same festival, and it was called Vindication.
Okay.
Which it became the first episode of the series. It was originally made as a standalone short film.
Yes.
Yeah, Jared made a short film for his church. But it did so well in the festival circuit. And one of the festivals that it went to was this Hill Country Film Festival in Fredericksburg, Texas. So Jared was in the audience when I was on the panel, the actors panel. And after the panel was over, he came up and spoke with me. I hadn't even seen his short film. There were so many things going on at the festival. I did not see that first episode of Vindication, the short film. He did not see the film that I was in, but just in talking to each other, we got each other's numbers, and he said that there's talk about turning this into a series, and if we do, would you be interested? And I was like, oh, absolutely. And I'm thinking, that these things never happen. And it was a while later. The lead female in that first episode is Kat Stephens, who is a friend of mine in Austin in the acting community.
Okay.
And she contacted me when they were getting ready to shoot episode 2 because they were looking to fill a role there. And Jared told her, no, I'm holding on to Peggy because if we do make a series, I'm thinking about her to be the wife.
Okay.
And so they told me that. And then when episode 3 came up and he said, okay, we're doing this, we're turning it into a series. And he asked me to audition. He sent me some audition sides and I sent in videotapes. And I'm like, oh, please let me get this role, because everything I'd done in Austin, there was nothing that was faith-based. Everything was secular. So this was my first opportunity. And as a Christian, to have this opportunity to work on a faith-based show has been, truly, truly a blessing for me. So I sent in my auditions, and then I got the role, and I found out much, much later, he said I was the only one he asked to audition, which made me feel so good. But yeah, God opened a door. I had been struggling with not booking, as actors do. We get frustrated, and you keep auditioning for things and not booking things. And I was getting frustrated with my career.
Yeah.
And God told me, quit obsessing. Literally told me quit obsessing. And it was like the next week, this opportunity came up with Vindication. God opened a door.
Acting is tough business, Peggy, as you well know, and there's so many good actors and actresses out there that don't get roles. It's easy to get frustrated because you keep trying and trying and trying and trying, and then all of a sudden you get one. And I think every great actor has had that experience where you just want to stop, but you keep going, and you're going to hit that role, and then one role after another, your career takes off, which is why I wanted to ask you how you landed, because you're such a good actress. And you're in Fear the Walking Dead, and you were nominated for Best Actress in the film Even If It Kills Me in 2022. Tell us about your experience with this film and what it centers around.
Well, Even If It Kills Me was written by a young writer-director. His name is Chris Dickinson. And I've worked with him over the years. What really is so interesting to me, I just love the way the characters he has written for me. I've done several things that he has written. Love the characters he's written for me. And what's interesting is that he is a young African-American male raised in the North by a single mother.
Okay.
And he has written some of the best roles for me as an older Caucasian woman who was raised in the South.
Okay. Wow.
And I think that what that speaks to is the fact that our differences are not really what's important. It's the things that we have in common. And although our experiences are different, the emotions and the feelings that we have in dealing with life experiences is what we have in common.
Yes.
And that is why I think he has been able to write some wonderful, wonderful things for me. Even If It Kills Me, my character is dying. And when he first wrote it, I read it and I said, I really like it. I said, but you're missing the most important part. She's trying to convince her son to let her go. And she's saying, you need to let me go, because the son has these powers to bring his mother back. And she's finally saying, no, it's time to let me go. And I said, Chris, I love it, but you're missing the most important part. And that is her faith. And she says, Peggy, go ahead and tell me what you want me to add. And we add it in. And so my character gets to say, I'm not afraid of what comes next. In fact, I've been looking forward to it, because she has faith and she knows that heaven awaits, and, to let her son know it's okay to go. And we actually shot it right here at my house. It was during the pandemic. So filming in my house, me being sick, them filming me. I had the whole film crew in my bedroom filming me in my own bed. So that was crazy. But yeah, just love working with Chris.
Awesome stuff, Peggy. And I was talking to Cameron Arnett recently, and we were talking about. I asked him this question. I'd love to hear your response to this because, I'm a stand-up comedian as well as actor. I mean, I've done stand-up for 12, 13 years, and I've done some acting. And you go through a lot of things when you do what we do. You're just kind of like bearing your soul to strangers all the time. And
Yeah.
and
being judged and when people make weird comments.
and so you acting or comedy, whatever it is in entertainment, you learn a lot of things on this journey, and it could be something that maybe a mentor said something to you, knows something about your craft, gave you that advice, and it changed things completely for you, or an experience you may have had in a scene. In my case, on stage at a show, so you noticed something, you saw something, you witnessed another actor in your craft do something that maybe had changed the game for you. What is it for you about your acting career, experience, what have you, that you've experienced that's made you better or taking your abilities to a higher level?
Oh, wow. That's a big one. I started out on stage and I love that. I miss it. I want to go back to it.
Okay.
But just having the opportunity to work with other talented, dedicated people, I learned so much from them. I did an online class with TC Stalling. He has what he calls the Uncompromised Christian Actor
Okay.
class.
Yes.
And people can sign up for it, and it's a series of videos, and it's not just about acting, but it's about being uncompromised as a Christian,
Okay.
and the types of things we will and will not do. And as I said, I started out in secular film because that's really all that we had here in Austin.
Okay.
And once I got into Vindication and met the other Christian actors and worked with them, and then meeting TC and doing his class, I think it's made such a big difference in me being discerning about the types of things that I will and will not do. I had someone send me a script not long ago, and the first thing I did was to check for the language in it, and I told him no. I turned it down. It was an interesting role. I said, but you just have too much vulgar language in this, and I just don't want to promote something like that.
Yes.
So I turned him down. And about 2 weeks later, he called me and he said, Peggy, I think you're right. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite the script. If I send it to you, will you look at it again?
Wow.
And he did. Yes. And so it has just empowered me to speak up, to defend myself, to defend my faith, to try to bring about what I want to see. And what I want to see is the influence that film and television has on the young people is so strong. And I think that young people nowadays, I hear them speaking and they're just using such vulgar language and the way they speak to each other. And it's because that's what they see. That's what they see and hear on television and in films. And I want to bring about a change of, a kinder kind of entertainment for people to watch. And it just, I felt so good when he came back and said, you're right, I'm going to change it.
Well, you know what, Peggy, my next question, you may have already answered it because that's a great response that you just gave, but I've got to throw it out anyway. For young actors and actresses out there that are just starting out in this craft, and I guess I would say particularly in the faith-based world, what advice can you leave with those young folks that are thinking about just going after this craft?
Number one is training. And it doesn't have to be in school. I know a lot of people will go get a college degree in theater or master's degrees in theater, but personally, I don't think that's necessary. I think it's wonderful if someone can, but there are so many good acting coaches. And in the Austin area, I've worked with most of the acting coaches there, and I've moved around. Some people will stick with one. I think you need to find the right one for your style of acting, because there are lots of different schools of thought when it comes to acting. So go to different acting coaches, find what works best for you as an actor. But very important to get your education in acting before you start looking for things. And then, volunteer. I started out, I was in theater, and then I started working with film students at the University of Texas. And they were learning while I was learning, and then branched off into that. And, people would be doing films, and I said, what can I do to help? And I would work as a production assistant, and I would, and they'd say, can you be an assistant director? I'm like, never done it, but okay, this is a little project. Keep trying. And then I got into casting. I volunteered working with big casting directors, and that helped me so much as an actor to see the other side of casting. And then I branched off and started doing some casting, and I've done extras casting for a couple of really big films, and then a casting assistant on different things. But never stop learning. Always be open to learning, and most of all, whatever you can do to help other people, it'll come back to you.
Amen.
Help others. Yeah.
Amen. Absolutely. I totally agree with that. That's exactly how the Lord works. What can we expect from Peggy Schott coming up on the horizon?
Well, season 4 of Vindication, of course. That's the biggest, most important one for me. I've shot a couple of short films this past year that are going to be in the festival circuit, and a couple of small roles and a couple of features. I've got another feature that's coming up that it was put on hold because of the actors' strike, but hopefully we'll be kicking into gear on that soon. And just auditioning and waiting for God to open doors for me, because I know that if I just keep trying and thanking Him when I don't get something, because if I don't get it, it means it wasn't the right thing for me. But I really want to do more work in the faith-based film world. So if anybody's out there, actress for hire.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the Maurice Brown Comedy Show on Bog Radio in association with 24 Flicks, talking with actress Peggy Schott from the hit faith-based crime drama Vindication. And you can see seasons 1, 2, and 3 all on Pure Flix, as well as Redeem TV and Amazon Prime. And as Becky just accurately stated, they are in the process of putting season 4 together. So I would imagine that would be available at some point during 2024. But I highly advise you, if you've never seen Vindication and you are a lover of Christ and you want to be entertained and see truth, you got to see Vindication. Again, if you love NCIS, if you love the Blue Bloods and all those different shows, and you are a child of God, you've got to see Vindication. And I guarantee you, you will be nothing short of satisfied. Believe me. Well, Peggy, this has been a great conversation. I appreciate you being on the show. I also want to say, for you folks that may be coming in late, hey, you can see this show in its entirety on KCHF TV, TV 11 in Albuquerque, New Mexico, every Saturday night at midnight, and then again at 8 p.m. They love us so much out there, Peggy. So they love us. They love the Maurice Brown Show. So you can see it then if you are coming in late and like, oh, doggone it, Maurice, I missed the show. And also you can hear this show where all major podcasts are heard, talking with Peggy Schott from the crime drama Vindication. Peggy, thank you so much once again for being on the show. And I hope we can talk again about season 4 when that's all said. I love talking to you guys. I love talking to you guys from Vindication. I love it.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Well, until the next time, Peggy, may the peace of Christ be with you and your family. God bless you.
Amen.